All right. Well, guys, we are here. Another Wednesday episode of Swagelok Southeast Texas Talks. I'm one of your hosts, Buster Caballero, along with my co-host, Logan Boatwright, and our special guest today. This show is a webcast that we do weekly about our industry and applications, engineering, innovation, and really all depending on what you as our customers and partners want to hear and talk about. So today we've got a real special guest. But Logan, how you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Doing good. As you can tell, I got a garage beer trim, so
It's
look a
tight.
little bit different.
You do, man. I like it a lot.
So today we've got Josh Anderson on. Josh is a former plant operator turned technical advisor. He works alongside Buster and I out in the field. And Josh is going to be here and share some things and some stories with us about how his previous life led him here and led to the development of some new Swagelok applications for our customers and how he helped bring those things to light. So Josh, thanks for coming on, man.
Welcome, Josh.
Thank y'all for having me.
All right, well, let's get started. Josh, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I mean, you kind of touched on it already. I'm fairly new to Swagelok. I've been here about a year and a half. Prior to that, I was in the Navy, and then after I got out of the service, I worked in upstream for a couple of years, and then I ultimately ended up in a refinery for about 9 years, as you said, as an operator, outside chief, console, emergency responder. So total, I got about 13 years oil and gas experience. And I like to consider myself a third generation oil man. My grandfather worked in a chemical plant. My dad in a refinery their entire careers. So it's kind of just in my blood.
Well, that's awesome. So you've gone from operator to now technical advisor for Swagelok. So you've gone from a guy that was in a place that used Swagelok products to now a guy that helps others get Swagelok products.
So how's being an operator helped you in this role, Josh?
Got a little bit of technical there, huh?
That's a good question, Logan. So I feel like you guys are very technically savvy, and y'all are very strong on the Swagelok product, which that's the part that I'm learning right now. But one thing that has been very interesting is I've been the customer, and I really have a different perspective. I think I get to see things from their point of view, and I was in their shoes, working, the nights and the weekends and running into problems and trying to fix things on the fly. So I feel like it gives me some good insight, and I've really tried to use that in, relating to the customers. And I think it's been pretty successful.
So, Josh, what was your experience with Swagelok while you were in the field being an operator?
So like I said, I was an operator, I wasn't an analyzer tech or an I&E tech, which, those are the guys in the plants that really use our stuff day in and day out. But I was exposed to even from the time I was in the Navy. Even, I mean, we had Swagelok products on the ship I was stationed on. So I'm very familiar with Swagelok as a brand, quality fittings. My interaction with them was limited to mostly wanting to use our valves and things like that when I was building clearing trees, and sometimes it might have been overkill, rated much higher than what I needed, but it was a smooth valve, so that's what I wanted to use, and that was kind of my experience with it. I knew it was quality, knew it was good, but really learned a lot more since I've been here.
Well, thanks for giving us some of your background. One of the things we really wanted to talk about today was getting application specific and talking about steam lances. So I'm going to ask you questions because I really didn't know much about these at all until we started talking about them on the show. So can you tell us a little about what steam lances are and your experience with them out in the field in your previous life, and how the Swagelok solution to those came about?
Absolutely. No, it's honestly a steam lance, just kind of a very general term, and it's a very common thing that we use out there. I was honestly surprised that it generated so much excitement because it's such a simple thing, but when people say steam lance, I mean, they're just referring to putting steam on something, whether it be a leak or a hot spot or whatever the case may be, and just to mitigate a risk, right? So, and I don't know that
We're
this.
looking at. Is this what we're looking at?
Yeah, well, so this is basically if you walked up to a steam lance on something, say that valve was leaking either at the packing or there at the flange, and there was something in there that was pyrophoric, and you'd put a steam lance on it. This is what you would see, and it would basically you just have a hose either tied off to a stanchion or a handrail or another pipe, and it would just be blowing this yard steam onto that valve. And what you would do is basically dissipate that oil so that it doesn't ignite. I don't know that this was an actual, a steam lance on the other side of it, but if you walked up to a steam lance on this valve, this is basically what you see. And you see the hot condensate dripping off the bottom there, and it's not a real clean, precise process, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a good illustration there. Thank you, Buster.
No, so that looks like fun. So
Yeah,
you mentioned that they use hoses.
Correct.
For this in the plant. So when you say that, I mean, you're literally just steam running through a hose, blowing on a piece of equipment.
Right. So like I said, this is a very rudimentary process. There's nothing fancy about it at all. You would literally take a steam hose that's got hot, high pressure steam running through it, and it's got a big, heavy 3/4 inch union at the end of this hose, and that hose will actually whip around. So which is why you want to tie it down so it doesn't hit somebody, knock them out, or burn somebody with steam. So, but yeah, that's a steam lance, and like I said, it could be used for a lot of different applications. Most of the time, it'd be for a leak and snuffing something. You could put it like I was describing hot spots. What that is if refractory inside a vessel broke off and you needed to cool it. The steam's actually cool. As hot as the steam is, it's cooler than inside the vessel, so it keeps it from getting a fracture on the vessel itself.
So is this kind of like in welding where you would use a shield gas if you're doing like an autonomous welder, like with our M200 welder, where you put that shield gas and it just creates a blanket around that area to protect it and enclose it in a way?
Yeah, on a much simpler scale. Yeah, it's basically, just think of it as you want to cool it, but you don't want to cool it too much, right?
Right.
And then with a leak, you're basically just overwhelming it with the steam, so it's basically minimizing it, snuffing it out.
So
can you share a picture of the what you helped develop at Swagelok?
You have that, Buster?
Yeah.
yes, I do. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna pop that up.
And so just while Buster's pulling that up, so this is what we ended up with, and this basically
It does not look like a hose, Josh. Just tied off.
Stay with me now. So I was actually sitting with a customer, and he called out to the field on his radio that he needed his guys to put together some steam lances. And so I told him, I said, man, why don't you let me do that? And we're just talking through the application. He said, you do steam lances? And no, we don't do steam lances, but we can put something together for you. If your guys are building them in the field, let us take the time to do that. So we started talking about it, and this is kind of what we came up with. And he ended up really liking this. So what we took a piece of insulated tubing, which was better than what they had because it actually safeguarded against burns. And then we just put a valve on the end of it, and that allowed them to throttle it right there at the lance. So they could control the flow right there at the leak itself, and we end up putting a handle on there. The handle initially was just for them to handle it better, but what they ended up using the handle to secure it, like I was saying, you had to kind of tie it off, and that actually ended up being kind of an anchor point for them to help mount it and then direct the flow to where they needed it. And they loved this thing, and it ended up being more useful than what we thought. I mean, they, to the point where they started using it to clean oil off of pumps and things when they're not using them for other things. So I mean, it truly was a pretty good solution that we came up with, and they were very pleased with it.
So how is this better than what they were using before?
So like I said before, imagine this is just, I mean, so this is your lance. Well, before it would literally just be a steam hose, and so you have this flexible hose, but it's got a heavy end connection on it, and you have to throttle it back at the other end of the hose. Like that's where, turn it on and off. So, and the hose also is going to get hotter than this insulated tubing is. So we were able to eliminate burn hazards. We were able to eliminate the whipping of the hose. Several things in there that make that a dangerous task. We were able to eliminate them and make it a little bit safer for these guys. And that's a big thing in the field, is they're always trying to make things safer.
Yeah, we hear safety all the time, every single day when we're
That's true. That's not something they just say. I mean, they do try to strive for that. It's not always possible, and they just mitigate it the best they can. But this was able to truly help them mitigate a risk.
Yeah. They can probably it looks like they'd be able to be a little more precise also with the application of the steam on it with this, instead of, like you said, having a hose that'd be whipping around on the other side. They can really use this. How long is this thing in real life? Because I don't think the picture does it justice. I've seen it.
The ones we did were 4 and 6 foot in length. So, I mean, and that's the beauty of it as well, right? It's just insulated tubing. So we were able to cut it whatever desired length they wanted. Nice. So it was really a good offering that we had, and they were very pleased with it.
Great. So I'm gonna stop sharing this for a second, if you bear with me, Josh. That's a really good thing right there that y'all were able to help a customer with and develop. So in transcending that, how did that experience shape how you deal with different applications with your customers on other sides? You walk in, you're like, steam lances, we can build those. I know what they are, know the application. How does that work for your other customers?
Well, for me personally, just being new and getting to kind of go through that whole process from cradle to the grave, if you will, it just gave me the confidence to know that we really can't. I mean, we come up with an idea there in the field, draw it out on a napkin at someone's desk. I have engineers I can take it back to, and they will actually make this happen. And it just it gave me an idea of what our process looked like, and just how good our engineering is and what we're capable of. I mean, there's as simple as a steam lance is, it wasn't something that was too small for us to mess with. We were able to take it and run with it, and we really helped the customer out, in that scenario. So that, for me, that was big to get to see, like, it doesn't have to be, we can do something as elaborate as, an analyzer panel, or we can do something as simple as a steam hose. And either way, our customers, it's a value add to them. So that was what was really cool for me, to get to see that firsthand. It was very impactful for me.
Well, thanks, Josh. By the way, guys, if you have questions for Josh or for anybody, please type it into the Q&A at the bottom, and we'll try to answer them as they come up. Josh, a couple more things we wanted to talk about. Back to the steam lance itself. So that's a really simple, I would say, assembly for our assembly solutions team to put together, right? It's a piece of insulated tubing and a valve, and then a couple of male connectors that go into the female ended valve, and then you've got the end seal boots and the handle.
Absolutely.
So really why we thought it would be neat to talk about this one first when we get application specific, because it just shows like that it doesn't have to be a super complicated system
No.
for to really be able to have an impact with our customers. We can get complicated, but we don't have to. Um, do you think that there are other types of applications that we might be able to help customers with, Josh?
Yeah, absolutely, Logan. And that and this and this was kind of eye opening for me too. It kind of, like you said, introduced me to this side of it, and it made me think kind of outside the box, like things that simple. Have another customer that they ship their product, their final product, and there's a little assembly on top. Well, it kind of got me thinking. Well, heck, this is something that I recreate all the time with gauges, a couple fittings, like it just kind of makes you start thinking what's out there that these guys are having to take time to put together. Everything's thin in the industry right now, including manpower and experience. So anything that we can take off of our customers' plate is very valuable. And there's all kinds of things like that. I know, just me being an operator, we were always fixing, like I said, fixing things on the fly. Something happens at night, we like to consider ourselves MacGyver of the refinery. We're always looking for spare parts and trying to make something out of nothing. And we like getting creative, and that's something that our customers, they appreciate, but they don't always have time for it. So it's something we can always help in that situation, I think.
Necessity is the mother of invention, right?
That's exactly right.
I'm even thinking with that steam lance, can we put like a thermal well on that with a thermometer or a temperature gauge on there, so that when you're putting it, you're able to monitor what the steam is at point of it, maybe a pressure gauge also. I mean, the possibilities are limitless. What kind of upgrades can we do to this steam lance, man? Can we get a mount for it? Like, hey, we sell a whole Pelican case of steam lances. I love it.
Yeah, there you go. That's what. No, I mean, it's all possible, and that's what's so cool about our capabilities.
Yeah. So, Josh, now that you're in this new role, you've been doing it for a year. Really great. The application that you're coming up with, the knowledge, we're able to come to you as other fellow technical advisors, get information. But for you, what has been one of the most rewarding aspects of being a technical advisor now, being in the field, working with customers on their applications, solving problems? Again, what's been the thing that's been most rewarding for you?
Well, I mean, just learning it and seeing where I fit in, as with my experience, being the new guy on the team is always intimidating, right? But being able to bring a different dynamic to it has been very helpful for me. I mean, from a general sense of it, that's good. And then just kind of getting to see where I'm able to help customers, even though I am new. I'm still learning things on the Swagelok side of things, but getting to be out in the field and help customers, that's been very rewarding. I mean, I was walking out with a PMC, basically a process mechanical contact is what they call them, but they're in charge on the operating side of fixing their equipment. I was doing a walkthrough. He was wanting to get a new sample panel from us. And during our walkthrough, we're going through trying to find a better design for this sample that they're having trouble with. And what it was, a naphtha sample, not to get too far down in the weeds, but it was spraying. It was actually spraying technicians when they caught this sample. So they were needing to replace it. Well, while we were out there walking it down to replace, we actually were able to come up with a fix for it using one of our flex hoses and get it back in service. So it was a sample they weren't able to catch. And I mean, he was very appreciative, and they ended up, we still came up with a good design for the new one, but we were able to get them back in business temporarily and things like that, because I've been on the other side of that. And I understand that, if you can't catch a sample and verify that your product's on spec, that's a big deal. And being able to get someone back in business, that was very rewarding for me. And things like that really are what I enjoy doing on a day in and day out basis, is knowing that I actually helped someone and I made a difference, in their operations, and I made their life a little easier. So that's probably been the most rewarding aspect.
Well, that's great, man. Thanks for sharing with us. And Josh, thank you for being on today and talking about your past life and your current life and that application. If go ahead and stay on in case we have any questions show up. It doesn't look like we have any right now. Okay, we do have one. How do you keep your teeth so white, Josh?
How do I, man? It's just the cross I bear, Logan. I brush twice a day and I try to floss regularly, but yeah, you don't get a nickname like Colgate walking around with some dingies.
That's true. That is a real life nickname, Colgate. All right, so I think that was your lone question. So congratulations.
Thank y'all.
But thanks for coming on. Seriously, that was really fun and cool to hear about. I want to say a couple things. I think Buster's going to say a couple things too. But just going back to the Steam Lance as an application itself and how it was developed. Most of our assembly solutions, all of them really, but our assembly solutions, they're all customer generated, right? You might see we have catalogs for grab sample panels or seal support systems, and that's great. But the reason that those solutions were developed is because a customer came to us with an idea or something that was a problem that they wanted to improve upon. And that's how we were able to develop those solutions and over time, be able to put together an offering with an actual part number to it. Even today, though, everything we do is customized to some degree. And everything is customer generated. So we wanted to talk about the Steam Lances first because it's super simple. There are like 3 different parts in a Steam Lance. It's not a full-on system, not something that necessarily had to be engineered or even drawn up in CAD, but we can do those things too. Everything that we do is generated from a customer, and we're always taking something that was in existence and making it better. And that's really what our Assembly Solutions group is for. So we wanted to talk about that a little bit today. So thank you.
And Logan, that's a great point that you bring up, and it is. And to just kind of copy on top of that is, I've been doing this about 8 years. You've been doing this 10 years. Josh is a first year, but he's got all this experience behind him, 13 years, third generation man, as he said. Everyone else that we're relying on, and our experience comes from, our customers' ability and willingness to let us get in the field with them, to walk us through the applications, to sit down, to take the time. So when we're coming with stuff, it's really driven, as you said, Logan, it's driven by our customers' initiative, our customers' goals, and what they're trying to do. And so whenever, like a Steam Lance, this is something that our customer that's their application. They shared it with us. We find maybe a few ways to improve upon it, show them this application, and when we put it out in the field, it's working better. And when we're able to go into a customer's facility and talk to them and say, hey guys, what are y'all working on? What's giving you a challenge? What's something that we can maybe help y'all with? This is why, because we want to provide that service to our customers and say, hey, let's take what you're trying to do. Let us be a catalyst to help work with you and make it better, give you everything you need to do. So my final thoughts is, that our experience and our expertise is driven by our customers' challenges and partnering with us. And that's something that we appreciate and really, really, really just take to heart almost. So, all right. So Logan.
Well, yeah, thanks, Buster. Thank you, Colgate, for coming on the show. Every Wednesday, 9 a.m., we do this. And our topics, if you're listening right now, there's something you'd like us to talk about or discuss, please let us know. We'd be happy to do a show about it. If you have any specific questions, feel free to get in touch with Buster, myself, or Josh, or any of our technical advisors. We will be back next Wednesday at 9 a.m. And again, thank you, Josh, for coming on. And guys, don't be strangers. Let us know how we can help you out.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks again for tuning in, everyone. As always, you can reach us at sset.swagelok.com on our website, where you can find all our services, parts catalog, and contact information. If you need to get a hold of one of us, just go to our About Us. You can also find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Just search Swagelok Southeast Texas, and that's where we put out a lot of our great content. Don't forget to sign up while you're on our website. Sign up for our email list so that we can send you important information, new services, product application initiatives, and a few little things that are going on. So as always, guys, it's the end of the Wednesday. We're going to head back out into the field. Y'all have a good day. Thank you for joining us.